Hello, and welcome to Unjustified, where we always cover the truth, the facts, the good, the bad, the ugly, on an unbiased and sometimes very unpopular opinion. Okay, today we're going to be looking into the Stephen Avery case. I have always been interested in this case from the very beginning. I watched the first part of the Netflix documentary, Making a Murderer. Absolutely. In the first 1 hour of it, I was like, yeah, this guy's guilty as hell, because it was showing his background. That's the way it started, kind of like the things he had been charged with in the past.
There was reason for law enforcement to be very familiar with this family, and it may not just have been they lived on the wrong side of the tracks and weren't Manitowoc upper crust.
And when it got to the part about the cat and the way he had doused it in gasoline or something and threw it into a fire, I was like, absolutely. Anyone that can do something like that to animals has got something going on up here. I mean, period. But as the documentary went on into it, I was like, and I started changing my thoughts, looking at the evidence, looking at how things went. I wasn't so convinced he was guilty anymore.
He had no motive. He was going to get a $400,000 tax-free check that was already on the governor's desk. He was going to get within a matter of days, separate and above his $36 million lawsuit.
And by the time I had completed part one documentary, I was automatically like, he is innocent, Definitely Brendan's innocent, for sure.
Look at Brendan Dassey. They say, boy, this kid, there's just no evidence. We really think he's innocent, and yet he's convicted.
I would say, from what I have seen and talked to in my personal life, Stephen's guilt, I would say, is on a 70-30, maybe. Maybe 30% think he's guilty, whereas 70 thinks he's innocent.
County, take a stand! Don't imprison an innocent man!
Scores marched outside the Manitowoc County Courthouse recently. Many came from across the country. Some calling for Stephen Avery's release, others saying he is where he belongs.
I'm one of the 70 at this point. There again, on Brendan, it's 99% would say that he is innocent, and his interrogation and confession was coerced.
Dassey's first lawyer failed to protect his interests, and that his confession was coerced.
Okay, as you know, I'm sure you know, if you're watching me right now, you're probably aware, and maybe just the title is what brought you here. Maybe you're just into the Avery case, and you're well aware that there's new evidence came. They now have a new witness that came about, which is not really a new witness. This witness actually tried to give his information to law enforcement at the time it happened. However, they brushed him off. We already know what happened, but thank you for calling, and they never looked into it. It was actually the newspaper carrier that gave this information. And it's not like he's waited all these 16 years to come about to tell what he knows. No, I've seen people writing that. Well, why did he wait 16 years? Well, he didn't. He tried in the very beginning to tell them, and they completely blew him off and said, okay, well, thank you, but we already got the one that did it, and I believe evidence was planted. I mean, there's almost no disputing that.
It just really became very questionable in my mind, not only that he was innocent, but that there was some manipulation of the evidence that was going on by somebody.
And it was an inside job, period. Whether it was the law enforcement or investigators, whether it was even family, I don't know, okay? But this new evidence has started looking more like that it's family. Which Stephen has said himself, told his attorney, and she repeated what he told her in a tweet. None of my family's done this.
Via Twitter messages posted by his new Illinois attorney. quote, "I want everyone to know that no one in my family, including me, was involved in the murder of Teresa Halbach. It is obvious who killed Teresa, but Manitowoc cops chose not to investigate him so they could frame me."
If you have not watched Making a Murder on Netflix, please watch it. It will help you with that much of it. Okay, we're also going to go deeper into it because that's what I do. I don't like looking on the outside, and just looking at the surface. I like looking inside. I like to get to the meat and potatoes of the whole thing. So, and I know Netflix also, they did put out some of the things that he had been arrested for in the past, but not all.
What I found missing from the documentary was some of the stuff that we had reported on heavily, which was the background of Stephen Avery.
So we're going to go over that in this video. We're just going to look at some of Stephen's past, and it does help to paint a picture of everything. So what we're going to look at, Team Unjustified, we're going to look at, was this guy targeted, or what's going on with this? What is really going on here? We're going to start right here, and we're going to start looking into Stephen's past. So let's get to this. Okay, if you can't see this with me, you can find all this at the website StephenAveryCase.com. While the Making a Murderer documentary glosses over a few items on the list, there are also a significant amount of information left out. Nothing on this list is proof that Avery was involved in the murder of Teresa Halbach. It simply sheds more light on Avery's character. In March of 1981, Avery was convicted of breaking into a bar with a friend, stealing 2 cases of beer, a toolbox, change from the pool table, and electronic games, and prepackaged sandwiches. And come to find out, it was cheese sandwiches. So yeah, 2 cheese sandwiches. While inside, Avery and his friend broke open 3 bags of charcoal and poured them over the floor and the pool table. He dumped boxes of cigars on the floor, removed clocks from the wall and smashed them, and smashed numerous other items on the floor, including the cash register, bar glasses, a pizza oven, and a typewriter, liquor bottles, and coffee pots. He spent 10 months in jail, 5 years on probation, and was ordered to pay a fine. He was also convicted of burglary in 1980, but records have been closed as he was still a minor at this time. A few months later, still in 1981, Avery and a friend were charged with dousing the Avery's family cat with gasoline and oil and throwing it into a bonfire. When the cat tried to escape, they caught it and poured more gasoline on it. It died of its injuries. He pled not guilty but was convicted of animal cruelty and sentenced to 9 months in prison. Then in 1985, Avery ran Sandra Morris, his cousin, and a deputy's wife, off the road with his car. He had a rifle and tried to force Morris into the car at gunpoint, but let her go when she told him her infant daughter was with her. She asked that he would allow her to drop her infant off at her parents' house, and then she would come back and do whatever he wanted. Avery followed her, but she ran into the house and called the police, at which point Avery drove off. Avery first denied having done anything and said he had been asleep. But officers pointed out his car engine was warm and found a loaded rifle, still cold from being outside, under his child's bed. Avery eventually admitted to the crime and was sentenced to 6 years in prison. In the documentary, Avery states the attack was sparked by the fact that Morris had complained to the sheriff's office that Avery would touch himself inappropriately on his front lawn when she drove by. Avery says that allegation is false. However, it was not Morris who made that report. It was a neighbor who had witnessed his actions. Morris was first reluctant to talk to the police, but when Avery's actions did not stop, she asked them to ride in the car with her. Avery's attack on Morris was at about 5:30 a.m., the same time the neighbor reported seeing him flash her as she drove by. While in prison, his wife Lori divorced him. He wrote her threatening letters, one stating, "I hate you. You got your divorce, now you will pay for it." In another, he said, "If you don't bring my kids, I will kill you, I promise, haha." He also wrote letters to his young children saying things like, "I hate mom, she will pay. Daddy will get mom when daddy gets out." The transcript of a 1993 hearing says these letters, including drawings of how he would mutilate and kill her. Manitowoc County Circuit Judge terminated Avery's contact with his children after that hearing. Avery also sent her a threatening cassette tape, and Lori received threatening letters that she believed were from friends of Avery. After his release from prison, Avery moved in with his girlfriend Jody. In September of 2004, he was arrested for disorderly conduct and was ordered to stay away from her for 72 hours and pay a small fine. Summer of 2004, a relative of Avery's under the age of 18 claimed that he SA'd her. The girl's mother did not want her identified and said the girl did not want to talk to detectives because Avery told her if she told anyone about their activities together, he would kill her family. Avery's fiancée, Jody, claimed Avery had admitted sleeping with the girl to her. Avery's friend, Tammy Weber, also heard Avery admit to sleeping with the girl, as well as Tammy's mother. Avery claimed he spent time with the girl hunting and fishing, but they never had S. The prosecution in the Halbach case filed statements from prisoners Avery had served time with, claiming he had talked to them about his plans to and torture women when he was released. The affidavits claim Avery showed them drawings of his planned torture chamber. The prosecution also filed an affidavit from a childhood friend of Avery's who claimed he took her virginity by R-ing her, and he threatened to hurt her if she screamed. Avery was arrested on November the 9th, 2005 for being a felon in possession of a firearm. Investigators found a .22 caliber semi-automatic rifle and a .50 caliber powder muzzleloader in his bedroom. One gun had his name written on a piece of tape wrapped around the barrel. Okay, what I have saved and what I've made some notes on is this. And I'm going to start from the beginning. I think I may have already read a couple of them, but I'm going to start from the beginning. October the 20th, 1980. Stephen Avery is charged with 2 accounts of burglary for breaking into a bar. He stole 2 packs of beer, 2 cheese sandwiches, and $14 in quarters. July the 24th, 1982. Stephen Avery marries Lori Matheson. November the 23rd, 1982. Stephen pleads no contest for animal cruelty after dousing the family cat with gas and oil and throwing it into a bonfire. September the 20th, 1984. Stephen Avery's cousin, Sandra Morris, who is married to a Manitowoc County deputy, files a complaint against Stephen for indecent exposure and having S with his wife outside during the day in the front yard. January the 2nd, 1985. Stephen Avery runs Sandra Morris off the road and points an unloaded gun at her. He lets her go when she points out that she has a child in her car. January the 3rd, 1985. Stephen Avery was questioned about the incident, and Stephen said he did it because Sandra Morris was spreading rumors about him. January the 4th, 1985. Stephen Avery is charged with endangering safety, regardless of life, and felon in possession of a firearm. July the 29th, 1985. Penny Bernstein is attacked at around 5:30 p.m. while jogging along Lake Michigan. She said her attacker was around 5'6", stocky with brown eyes, long sandy hair, and wearing black leather jacket. Sandra Morris's friend Judy takes the report and immediately says it sounds like Stephen Avery. July the 29th, 1985. Stephen Avery is arrested for assaulting Penny Bernstein. He was not allowed a phone call or even given access to an attorney. It's the first, 1985. Penny Bernstein tells Judy that she cannot see because her eyes are still swollen from the attack, but Judy has her sign the incident report that Judy prepared. August 1985. Manitowoc County Detective Tom Bergner tells Manitowoc County Sheriff about the lack of surveillance on Gregory Allen the day of the attack, and 3 women from the DA's office tell DA Vogel they thought Gregory Allen committed the crime. September the 18th, 1985. Stephen Avery is denied bail based on his past record. December the 14th, 1985. 16 witnesses testify that they saw Stephen from 1 p.m. until 11:45 on July the 29th, and a receipt is presented that is time-stamped of 5:13 p.m. March the 10th, 1986. Stephen Avery is found guilty of S.A., attempted murder, and false imprisonment. Judge Fred Hazelwood sentences him to 32 years in prison. August the 5th, 1987. Wisconsin Court of Appeal denies Stephen Avery his request to overturn his conviction. 1988. Stephen Avery gets divorced and he loses custody of his kids. His now ex-wife later marries his former brother-in-law, Pete Dassey, Brendan Dassey's father. 1994. The Wisconsin Supreme Court denies to hear Stephen's appeal. Attorneys Stephen Glenn and Robert Hannock agree to re-examine Stephen Avery's case. July the 9th, 1995. A woman in Manitowoc County is SA'd in her home by Gregory Allen. 1995. Manitowoc County Sergeant Andrew Colburn receives a call from a detective in Brown County stating that an inmate admitted to the crime in 1985. Colburn will not write this up until September the 12th, 2003, and he received the call in 1995. April the 26th, 1996. Gregory Allen is convicted of S.A. for the July 9th, 1995 attack and sentenced to 60 years in prison. September the 23rd, 1996. Stephen Avery's attorneys have DNA experts re-examine kits collected from Penny Bernstein. The results show that a third unknown DNA profile that was neither Bernstein or Avery was present. Judge Hazelwood rejects the DNA evidence and does not allow a retrial. September the 3rd, 1997. The Wisconsin Court of Appeals rules against Stephen Avery. October the 3rd, 1997. The Wisconsin Innocence Project agrees to take Stephen Avery's case. April the 3rd, 2002. Judge Hazelwood grants the Wisconsin Innocence Project permission to conduct DNA testing. The evidence from his 1985 case is sent to the state crime lab. For the 10th, 2003, a single pubic hair excludes Stephen Avery and actually matches Gregory Allen. September the 11th, 2000. Stephen Avery is released from prison. September the 12th, 2003. Colburn writes and submits a statement about the phone call he got back in 1995. September the 18th, 2003. Manitowoc DA Peggy L. asked the Wisconsin Attorney General to investigate Manitowoc's handling of Stephen Avery's case. December 2003. State Representative Mark Gundrum develops the Stephen Avery Task Force to review police and prosecutional practices statewide. The Wisconsin state legislature begins drafting the Avery bill and recommends Stephen Avery receive $450,000 in wrongful conviction compensation. December the 15th, 2003. Manitowoc County Court clears the DA's office of any wrongdoing in Stephen Avery's case. October the 12th, 2004. Stephen Avery files a civil lawsuit against Manitowoc County. Manitowoc County DA and Sheriff Tom Kokurik for $36 million. November the 24th, 2004. Stephen Avery's girlfriend Jody is arrested for DUI. She will be in jail for 7 months. 2005. Depositions begin in May. October the 11th, 2005. Lieutenant James Links is deposed, and he acknowledges the call Coburn got in 1995. Sandra Morris is also deposed this day. October the 13th, 2005. Sheriff Kenneth Peterson is deposed and denies any knowledge of anything that would have cleared Stephen Avery. October the 13th, 2005. Sergeant Andrew Colburn is deposed and claims he doesn't recall speaking to anyone about Stephen Avery's case. Judy D. is also deposed and admits she suggested Stephen look like the person Penny Bernstein was describing. October the 26th, 2005. Chief Deputy of Manitowoc County Eugene K. is deposed about his sketch looking almost exactly like Stephen Avery's mugshot from 1985. He denies having access to the mugshot. He framed his sketch and has been proudly displaying it for almost 20 years. He also questions if Stephen Avery is really innocent and the validity of the DNA that freed him. October the 31st, 2005. Stephen Avery calls the auto trader at 8:12 a.m. to request that Teresa Hallbach come photograph a minivan he was selling. He leaves the name B. Jonda, which was for his sister, Barbara Jonda, as it was her car. Teresa Hallbach calls Barb at 11:43 a.m., saying she will be there sometime after 2 p.m. It takes pictures of a car for sale at the Schmidt's residence at around 1:30 p.m. Teresa is at the Zipper residence sometimes between 2 and 2:30 p.m. P. from Auto Trader talks to Teresa at 2:27 p.m. and Teresa tells her she is on her way to the Avery brothers. Scott T. says he arrived home at 3:15 p.m. and then went hunting. He passed Bobby Dassey on the road, who was also going hunting. Brendan and Blaine Dassey got off the bus at 3:45 p.m. on 10/31/05. This is Halloween, 2005. The bus driver testifies that she saw a woman taking pictures of a vehicle. Barb comes home and makes dinner for them at 5 p.m. Blaine leaves at 5:20 or 5:30 with his friend Jason to go trick-or-treating. Barb leaves at around 5:30 to go with Scott to Green Bay to visit his mom that was in the hospital. Blaine's boss calls at 5:45 p.m. Brendan used to work for him too. Stephen Avery calls Brendan shortly after that and asks him to come watch a bonfire. 15 minutes later, Stephen calls again and asks what is taking so long. Brendan was changing his pants and putting on a sweatshirt because it was a little chilly out. Brendan gets there at around 7-ish. They drive around in Dolores Avery's golf cart picking up debris. When they're done, Stephen asks if he wants to help clean the mess in the garage. Scott T. says he saw a fire at 7:30 or 7:45 p.m. on 10/31/05. And after about a half an hour, Stephen and Brendan go out to the fire, and Stephen gets a call on his cell phone from Barb. She wanted to know if Brendan was there. She reminds Stephen to tell Brendan he needs to be home before 10 and make sure that he has a sweatshirt on. They watch the fire, and then at 9:30, 9:45, Brendan goes home. Stephen received 2 calls from Jody on 10/31/05, one at 5:36 p.m. and the other at 8:57 p.m. November the 3rd, 2005. Teresa's boss, Tom Pierce, calls Teresa's mom, Karen, at around 1 p.m. and told her that Teresa didn't show up for work Tuesday or Wednesday. Worried because her voicemail was full, and that was unusual for Teresa because that was her business phone as well. Karen called Mike and Tim Halbach to ask if they had heard from Teresa. She also called Auto Trader to ask when was the last time they heard from Teresa and didn't get an answer. So then she called Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Mike Halbach got into Teresa's cell phone records and knew her last call was Monday, October the 31st, Halloween. They put out posters on November the 3rd, 2005 and November the 4th. Ryan Hilligus, Teresa's ex-boyfriend, planned to get a group together at Teresa's house on November the 5th to do an organized search in Manitowoc where Teresa was last seen. Teresa reported missing at 5 p.m. on November the 3rd, 2005. November the 5th, 2005, RAV4 found at 10:30 p.m. by Pam Sturm. Karen Halbach, Teresa's mom, this was her husband's first cousin. It was about 350 feet from a car crusher at the Avery salvage yard that was 40 acres and had about 4,000 vehicles. Investigators became actively involved in the search at 2 p.m. on November the 5th, 2005. Detective Jacobs asked if Stephen Avery is in custody. November the 6th, 2005. Brendan denied any knowledge of Teresa Halbach's death. The firearms and garage searched on 11/6/05. On November the 7th, 2005, volunteers helped search the 40 acres of 4,000 cars. Ryan Hilligus and Scott Blodern, Teresa's roommate, signed in at the Avery salvage yard at 9:03 a.m. and out at 4:28 p.m. Male blood is found in 6 locations in the RAV4 and female blood in the back. They discover what they say are Teresa Halbach's electronics in burn barrels at Stephen Avery and Barb. November the 8th, 2005. Colburn removes all contents of Stephen Avery's nightstand. No evidence is discovered. Ryan Hilligus and Scott Blodern again sign in at the Avery salvage. They sign in at 6:41 p.m. and out at 7:06 p.m. And remember, this is her ex-boyfriend and her roommate, Ryan and Scott. November the 8th, 2005. Stephen Avery's trailer is searched again, and this time, Link finds a key to the RAV4. November the 8th, 2005. The RAV4 plates are found by volunteer fireman William Brandis, kind of on the path to the way to the trailers. November the 8th, 2005. Human bone fragments were found in the burn area, but claim they couldn't examine or recover the area because of a German Shepherd chained up nearby. November the 9th, 2005. They declare the bones as human and female. Stephen Avery is arrested on a weapons charge for a .22 caliber Marlin Glenfield semi-automatic rifle that belonged to Stephen's landlord that hung over the bed. They find a cut on his hand and take a swab of his saliva. November the 10th, 2005. They recover more bones. They find DNA on the key. November the 11th, 2005. The blood found in the cargo area of the RAV4 matched a soda can Teresa Halbach had in the front of her car. Teresa Halbach's death certificate is issued. It states she was pronounced dead on November the 10th, but then also says that the actual or estimated date of death is unknown. Stephen Avery's preliminary trial begins. Judge Patrick Willis decides enough evidence exists to hold Stephen over for trial. December the 20th, 2005. Stephen Avery accepts a settlement from Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department for $400,000. January the 16th, 2006. Stephen Avery pleads innocent. January the 19th, 2006. FBI says cremains in the burn pit belong to Teresa Halbach. February the 7th, 2006. Ken Kraft emails Sherry Cohen asking her if she really was the person who tested Stephen Avery's blood sample back in 1985. February the 20th, 2006. Weigert re-interviews Avery's family, and Kayla says Brendan Dassey has been acting up lately. February the 27th, 2006. Weigert and Fassbender go to Brendan's school to take him out of class. Brendan is then re-interviewed after 10 p.m. in a resort hotel in Michigan. Weigert and Fassbender take Brendan to his trailer to get his jeans that had bleach stains on them. March the 1st, 2006. Brendan Dassey is interviewed again, and they got a search warrant for the garage. Brendan is arrested and charged with first-degree intentional homicide, or first-degree S.A. bodily harm and mutilating a corpse. March the 1st, 2006. They find 2 bullets in the garage, and Sherry Cohen claims Teresa Halbach's DNA is on one of them. March the 2nd, 2006. Kratz holds a press conference where he taints the jury pool. March the 3rd, 2006. Brendan Dassey is charged and bail is set at $250,000. Lynn Kaczynski is appointed to defend him. March the 6th, 2006. They find 11 separate .22 caliber shell casings in the garage. March the 6th, 2006. Stephen Avery's girlfriend Jody is released from jail. March the 7th, 2006. Weigert re-interviews Kayla and gets a statement of Brendan Dassey's involvement in Teresa Halbach's murder. March the 8th, 2006. Kratz adds kidnapping, false imprisonment, and S.A. with a dangerous weapon to Stephen Avery's charges from Brendan Dassey's statement. March the 17th, 2006. Stephen Avery's pretrial begins, and Judge Willis ups his bond from $500,000 to $750,000. April the 3rd, 2006. Take a Q-tip and swab the hood and latch, and Cohen gets a full profile that Kratz claims is Stephen Avery's sweat. April the 27th, 2006. Kaczynski's email to investigator Michael O'Kelly and tells his plans to use Brendan Dassey to help convict Stephen Avery. May the 9th, 2006. O'Kelly emails Kaczynski's outlining how he will coerce a confession from Brendan Dassey. May the 12th, 2006. Judge Fox said Brendan Dassey's statements were voluntarily and admissible. 12th, 2006. O'Kelly manipulates Brendan Dassey and has him write out a confession and draw the R in murder. May. Jody is caught drinking and spending 5 nights in jail. She is issued a no-contact order from Stephen Avery. Judge Willis forbids Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department from any involvement in Stephen Avery's trial. It's moved to Calumet County. Judge Willis rules that the defense cannot suggest to the jury any suspects by name except Brendan Dassey. Judge Fox denies Brendan Dassey a new attorney. June. Colburn files his report about his interaction with Stephen Avery from November the 3rd, 2005, 8 months earlier. June the 30th, 2006. Brendan Dassey writes a letter to Judge Fox recanting his confession. Fox dismisses Kaczynski after finding out he allowed Brendan to be interrogated without counsel. August the 31st, 2006. Jody ends her relationship with Stephen Avery. January the 29th, 2007. Judge Willis dismisses 2 of 3 charges against Stephen Avery, kidnapping and SA, because the state won't indicate if Brendan Dassey will testify in Stephen's case. January the 30th, 2007. Judge Willis denies state's motion to exclude the blood vial. The state asked the judge to allow the FBI to develop a chemical test to prove blood not planted, and judge allows it. A test like this has not been done in over 10 years. February the 12th, 2007. Stephen Avery's trial begins in Chilton, Wisconsin. March the 16th, 2007. Richard Mahler is dismissed from jury. March the 18th, 2007. Stephen Avery is found guilty of first-degree intentional homicide and possession of a firearm. Not guilty on mutilation of a corpse. April the 16th, 2007. Brendan Dassey's trial begins. April the 25th, 2007. Brendan Dassey is found guilty of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and second-degree SA. June the 1st, 2007. Stephen Avery is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of early release. August the 2nd, 2007. Brendan Dassey is sentenced to life with the possibility of early release in 2048. January the 15th, 2010. Stephen Drizin, co-founder of the Center of Wrongful Convictions of Youth, is defending Brendan Dassey and claims Kaczynski did not have Brendan's best interest in mind, so should be granted a new trial. January the 21st, 2010. Drizin shows O'Kelly was only interested in convicting Stephen Avery, regardless of what that would do to Brendan Dassey. He said since Kaczynski was dismissed for allowing Brendan to be interrogated without an attorney present, then the phone calls that resulted from that should be inadmissible. So I would like to know at this point, are you one of the ones on this case that says guilty or innocent on Stephen? What do you think? What is your thoughts on this case? I gave you the whole back rundown on everything from his adult life, on all of his background, criminal records or arrest reports and all such as that. So you kind of know what he's done in his past. And tell me what you think, innocent or guilty thus far in your mind. We've got this far with it. Did you learn anything new from this case? If you have already been following it, was there anything new you learned from what I just talked to you about and told you about? I hope you did learn something new in it, because every little thing in these cases is important. They're all something to look into and think about, because, hey, if you think that he is guilty, then there might be something there that make you go, wait a minute, I didn't know that. Or if you think he's innocent, there could be something that we go over that you're like, wait a minute, that changes everything. So that's far, what do you think? If you are saying guilty or innocent, hit me in the comments below, and I do read them. I don't always get time to comment. I thank you all for listening. I would really appreciate a thumbs up. Keep your eye out right here for more of this Stephen Avery stuff, because I'm going to go into it in a whole. And I don't know if other channels out there has already did that. More than likely they have, but who knows? Maybe I cover it just a little different. Okay, guys, have a great day, night, evening, wherever you may be. And until next time, this is Unjustified.